in Syria for the first time. The question now, what comes next? Good evening and welcome to a special live midnight broadcast of The Kelly File. I'm Megyn Kelly. At 9:26 p.m. Eastern Time tonight, on The Kelly File, Fox News became the first to report that airstrikes were underway in Syria. We are told the offensive began with Tomahawk missiles launched from the destroyer Arleigh Burke in the Red Sea and the Navy cruiser Philippine Sea in the Persian Gulf. The raids also included F-18s taking off from the USS George H.W. Bush, targeting command and control centers and weapons depots. Also in on the action, B-1 stealth bombers, tasked to some of the 20 targets identified inside of Syria for this round of strikes. Plus, for the first time ever, the Navy rolled out its brand new F-22 Raptor, the first time this stealth fighter has been used in combat. And while the U.S. was in the lead, we had significant help, not from our European allies, but from Arab countries, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, and Jordan, and Qatar. President Obama is due in New York for United Nations meetings tomorrow. We are told that he is being briefed by military officials throughout the night on the action in Syria, though we are not expecting any statement tonight. Earlier today, he consulted with both Speaker Boehner and Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi in the House. And before that, we are told that he met with the top brass at CENTCOM, where the decision, according to the Pentagon, was made by Commander General Lloyd Austin to strike tonight. Joining me now, retired four-star General Jack Keane, who is a former Army Vice Chief of Staff. General, very good of you to come in very late tonight and offer your expertise on this. Give us your perspective on what we've done so far and whether you think this initial burst of action will take days, weeks, months, or longer.
Well, first of all, this is a significant night. Not only have we finally begun airstrikes on Syria, which, as you know, we've discussed this before, I thought we should have done when the president made his speech, but look, put that in the past. We're now attacking. And it's very significant that we have 4 Arab Muslim countries, all Sunni-based countries, attacking a Sunni-based terrorist organization. And that did not come easy. Many of these were urging the United States to do something about Assad before, but now this is ISIS. So it is significant in my judgment. Qatar not attacking. Qatar's, I think, has problems because they've been aiding ISIS financially from the beginning. And they also aid Hamas. And I've always felt we have to do something about this country. Maybe this is an indication that they're willing to change their stripes. I doubt it. We'll see what happens. I also believe it's tied to what is taking place, as you just identified. The president's coming to the UN General Assembly with all the other presidents. And what a jump start he's going to have as a result of this action to get other coalition partners to participate in this war against ISIS.
But the goal, of course, is to degrade and ultimately destroy ISIS. And the question is whether they have now managed to hide in the 12 days since the president announced that he was going to be doing this. I raise that not only because it's a concern that you and I have discussed before, but because Richard Engel of NBC News has sent out a message tonight online saying he's been told ISIS had time to move into civilian areas, hide weapons. Now they are on the move. Expect follow-up from all sides. I mean, it makes sense that they would have had time to hide. So how big a factor is that?
We don't know. I mean, General Alston's a very competent commander. He briefed the president on all these targets. They're not striking if they don't have targets. So they absolutely have targets. The question is, how much scale and scope are they able to achieve over the next coming days, and how much protection and concealment has ISIS been able to achieve themselves? That's
They're not just going to sit there in those buildings and wait to get bombed.
No, of course not. But still, I've always believed that ISIS, right from the beginning, had a planning assumption. When we did not execute the red line of the chemical weapons in Syria a year ago, I think their number one planning assumption is the United States would never strike them in Syria. It's why they put so much in there. 2/3 to 75% of their support infrastructure is there. Much of that is still vulnerable, or we would not be attacking. You asked how long? As long as those targets are accessible, we'll continue to attack. But this is not the opening of the war in Iraq in 2003, or it's not Desert Storm. We don't have those kind of targets to begin with, even if they were all exposed.
And so speak to the issue of Turkey, because they are not involved in this, and yet, given the border with Syria, they are a potentially important participant here.
This is a big issue, and I'm delighted you brought it up. They had 43 hostages returned. What they've been telling the United States government is the reason why we have not helped you is because we wanted to get those hostages released. They are released. What is Turkey's issues here? Fact of the matter is, most of the fighters come through Turkey into Syria to be trained. Much of that, according to intelligence service, still hasn't been turned off. Another issue, ISIS uses oil on a black market, and it flows through Turkey. They've got to shut this down. And is Turkey, a NATO nation, and allied with the United States, going to get involved with military capability?
Right. I mean, what are the rules there? They're part of NATO. Isn't this is the time they're supposed to step forward and help?
And they're in the region. Most NATO nations are not, but they're the only NATO country that is in the region. So we're going to find out whether that was rhetoric and just stiffen us because of the hostages or not. Now, Secretary Kerry, General John Allen, representing the President of the United States, can put it on the table and see where Turkey really is.
All right, but now, so the air campaign is officially underway. The question, however, now is, what's next? They say that Saudi Arabia is going to offer some areas for us to train some of these Free Syrian Army opposition rebels, whatever you want to call them. It's going to take a year. We're going to send them out of Syria. They're going to go to Saudi Arabia. They're going to train them. A year, they're going to come back. That doesn't seem the most helpful. So who's going to be on the ground? You've been calling it the weak hand players. They're not going to get it done.
Well, nothing has changed on the ground. We have a weak hand. Free Syrian Army. We're going to train 5,000 of the leadership, the command and control. It's going to take us a year to do that. I think that's absolutely outrageous. It's going to take that long. We should put more resource in there, do it a lot faster. In Iraq, we've got a weak hand, as we've discussed before. Iraqi army, Peshmerga, Sunni tribes have never worked together, and some of those units have collapsed in the face of this enemy. We have to strengthen that hand. That is what all the discussions have been about with the generals in trying to influence the administration to strengthen that hand down at the fighting level. It remains to be seen. It still is the big question mark. Look, tonight's a good night. I don't want to take away from that. But at the end of the day, to defeat them, to destroy them, will take a ground force to push them out of Iraq so that territory can be reclaimed, and also to push them out of Syria. That will take a combination of ground forces and an air campaign to do it. How
important is it that you not only do we have these Sunnis who have joined this fight to fight against other Sunnis, I mean the most extreme Sunni you can have, which is ISIS, but if the Iraqi army is participating in this, as the government says it will, then you've got Shia. So it's Sunni and Shia fighting next to each other against the crazy Sunni ISIS fighters. What's the significance of that?
Well, I think it's very significant. It really takes away the argument that this is a Sunni-Shia conflict, because ISIS doesn't look at it that way. They will take advantage of the tensions and conflict between Sunnis and Shias to manipulate themselves. But this has always been about dominating Arab Muslim lands, whether they are Shia-governed or Sunni-governed. The fact is, most of them are Sunni-governed. So yes, ISIS has become a common enemy, as you just pointed out, for Shia and for Sunnis. And that is a good thing that they're able to work together towards that common enemy. Whether the ground force could be successful or not, supported by air power, remains to be seen. We've said that's a big question mark. It remains a big question mark.
General Keane, as somebody who's been there, speak to what the troops are going through tonight. What's happening with the commanders and those who follow the orders?
Look, people who wear a uniform for this country, when they feel this country's in danger, they want to do something about it. I can tell you from primary sources, when the president was making a speech down at Central Command the other day and telling them that I'm not going to send you into combat, we're not going to do this, they want to go because they believe America is in danger. And when they're able to use their skill and apply their courage to help secure America and protect America, they're at the best of their feelings. And so the pilots that are striking tonight, and knowing they're protecting America, protecting their families, protecting what this country stands for, there's no better feeling, and they have the skill sets to do that. And not only that, they know they can do it without hurting other people that should not be hurt unintentionally. And they have extraordinary skill and extraordinary courage in doing it. And they will feel good about it.
They are our best and bravest. General Keane, thank you so much.
It's good talking to you, Megan.
Likewise, we're very lucky to have you.